If I went to your backyard and said, I will give you $100 for that tree, would you sell it to me? When I ask the question, well, how much is that tree worth? People don't really have a clear answer. It could be $1, it could be $1,000, it could be $100,000, or it could be completely priceless.
I love the fact that a lot of the work that trees do, we kind of just take for granted. They're just there doing their thing. A tree can stand there for 5 or 6, 7 years, 8 years maybe sometimes, and we don't do anything related to maintenance, and they just do the work.
They actually provide habitat, they provide resources, and more importantly to us, selfishly, they provide these ecosystem services.
Ecosystem services can be broadly defined as this term of thinking about what human benefits or what quantifiable benefits we can derive from different parts of nature.
Ecosystem benefits from trees are numerous. We could talk about their ability to slow stormwater,
nutrient sequestration, helping bring more carbon down into the ground, or even purifying our air.
Just the natural cooling that they do by producing shade.
Trees are major sources of pollen for our pollinators.
But a lot of the heavy lifting that trees do are a little more intangible as far as assigning a dollar to it.
I could just spend $300 and get firewood. And that's what I would do if someone tried to charge me for a tree. I am gathering wood from downed trees in the neighborhood. So I only collect trees within a few square miles of my house. And then I process the wood for firewood primarily. Fortunately, these tree services are saying, okay, it's gonna cost you $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to bring down this big tree and another $2,000 to remove it. But instead of paying the $2,000 to remove it, right, I will come and pick it up for you. It costs me money to do this, but it is a hobby. It heats my house. It gives me exercise. It's good for my mental health, but it's not worth anything money-wise to me.
Trees span the range of value depending on who you ask. Some people around town might be able to tap trees in their backyards or in properties that they manage and collect sweet syrup.
This is a resource we can use from the tree in a respectful and kind manner. Not taking more than we need is always an essential piece when you're asking for something from the natural world. If you have a specific area where you harvest, it can be really great to have this check-in multiple times throughout the season. In case you have a sick or a wounded tree, you wouldn't tap that tree. One of the things that people could think about when they're tapping trees is if it is a particularly stressful year, not trying to leave taps out for the entirety of the tapping season. Tapping maple trees in this urban environment where you still have cars shuttling past, it's rush hour right now, is still really valuable and important kind of community endeavor in the sense that it takes hours and hours of boiling the sap down to create the syrup. And so there's this community bonding that happens over tending the fire. On the daily, I can go on a walk casually from my office and cross these trees, and this feels so different than urban spaces without trees. They provide this kind of intangible benefit that really, for me, speaks to my core values of needing to see green.
Trees require this sort of maintenance and upkeep. Trees actually provide jobs. They're actually of economic importance to our city. The city forestry department is an entire department of the city that is here to keep our trees healthy, to keep our trees in good condition, to keep our urban forests alive and thriving.
Our typical maintenance on a year, we have 30,000 street trees that we take care of, 5,000 extra park trees that are in turf areas that we actively manage. So we're looking at about 35,000 trees that we take care of and maintain. When I was going to school for my education, there was a recreational climbing club on the weekends. Honestly, it was the tree climbing, some of the adventurous, like I felt like I had an adventure job that was environmental, and that's kind of how it all lined up. And then it grew into the position that I have now. Really, as an urban forester, the favorite tree that I have is the variety of trees that's within an urban forest.
Trees are going to be here before us, and they're going to be here long after we're gone. And one of the really great ways to leave a legacy in your community is to try to plan for what the future is going to look like.
Appleton's already a tree city, and this is an opportunity for us to have, really a beautification of a trail that gets a lot of use with bikers and walkers with these beautiful apple blossoms.
We started planting trees about 10 years ago and upped our ante about 3 years ago to planting 50 apple blossom trees for Appleton.
Well, I think the great thing is that Babs and Michael were very inspired when they went to Washington, D.C. with the cherry blossoms, and they came up with the idea of apple blossoms for Appleton, and it could not be more perfect.
So it's 150 this year for along the Apple Creek Trail, and then it was 3 to 5 for about the 10 years before that, so 50 plus 200, yeah, I agree, 200. You can buy a tree from the local places right now that are about a ½ inch in diameter for about $100. So, 50 trees is a lot of money, yeah.
Our intent is to make this trail and the apple blossoms that we plant an attractant to people to come visit Appleton.
This is the bike trail also, and it's very accessible for people in wheelchairs. So that's another way people can come enjoy this too. And many of our trees were in memory of somebody. People like to put let off balloons or whatever in memory of somebody, and we're saying plant a tree instead.
Trees bring in people to cities. Trees are iconic parts of cities. There's your favorite tree downtown or best flowering tree in the city. Trees can be valuable to some people and valuable in different ways to others.
I have an idea how I could put a value on this tree. So the method that I'm using today is the CTLA method, which is the Council of Tree and Landscape Appraisers. And that involves accounting for the species of the tree, the condition of the tree, also its functional limitations. I use my Biltmore stick. It's a homemade one. So measuring that tree, I figure it to be 18 inches in diameter. Now I can figure out the cross-sectional area rating of this Redmond linden might be 80%. I'm gonna multiply that out to how many square inches we have from our subject tree. Now I have to depreciate that by multiplying it by my 3 depreciation factors that we talked about earlier, which gives me a final cost of $2,643.09 for our subject tree.
I want us to sort of think of a tree across the seasons, okay? Starting from like a winter season when there's no leaves on the tree's actually still really important part of the ecosystem. It's providing habitat for organisms to burrow and nest in. Then spring comes around. When all those flowers come up out of those trees, you're providing again food and nectar for organisms to thrive. Come summertime, that tree is now teeming with life. And in this way, trees are these foundational species. So we've made it through winter, we've made it through spring, we've made it through summer, and then we get to fall. And I think this is the most beautiful time for the tree because when the colors change and you have all these beautiful reds and oranges, as you go into this dormancy period, the trees are actually starting to sink carbon into the ground. But even dead trees, even dead parts of trees, whether it be leaf mulch or a limb that broke off during a summer windstorm, is going to be great habitat for some of the decomposing community in the forest floor. Anywhere there's a tree, you're supporting this network of other organisms, not just the invertebrates, but the mushrooms, the birds, the mammals. They're all coming together around the central character that is our urban tree. They are the roots of a community. They tie all of these different ecosystem components together.